Taking a look at MCQ 14 is coming back to the circulatory system. We're tasked to find out the correct diagram. To start it off, I will always go with intestine and liver. Now, intestine must only have its flow going back to the liver via the hepatic portal vein, and it's not allowed to have its blood recirculating back directly into the bloodstream. This is a no-go. So I'll say that due to this, A is considered to be wrong. And now we're left with the connection of the chambers of the heart together with the lungs under double circulation. Now we have 4 chambers of the heart itself. We have the right atrium as well as the right ventricle. Now blood enters the right atrium via the vena cava. And from the right ventricle, it will actually be traveling towards the lungs via pulmonary artery. Now you can see that starting off, the blood that we are using is considered to be deoxygenated. This was the collection of deoxygenated blood from the rest of the cells of the body going through aerobic respiration. But the lungs is responsible for gaseous exchange, so that the blood that comes out of the lungs, now it will actually return back to the left side of the heart, entering into the left atrium, and the left atrium will actually send the blood towards the left ventricle, that then leaves the body itself to the rest of the body, exiting via the aorta, and this time around is actually carrying oxygenated blood that actually came from the lungs itself. So in this case here, the aorta will actually be splitting into smaller vessels. All this smaller artery will then actually divert blood to different organs. In example, we're looking at the splitting into the coronary artery, which actually feeds oxygenated blood back onto the heart itself, so that the heart still have oxygen to undergo aerobic respiration, allowing for continual cardiac activity. So for the case of B, let's take a look at what's wrong or what's correct. You see that from the entrance here, blood goes from the right atrium to the right ventricle. It is sent directly to the head itself. Now this is incorrect, because that means that the blood has not undergone gaseous exchange at the lungs and is actually sending off deoxygenated blood to the head. Now for the case of C, you see that blood is properly being channeled from right atrium to right ventricle to the lungs. Now this is good, this is gaseous exchange, but instead of going back to the heart, it routed and skip the heart and straight away go to each of the organs. Now, although the blood are considered to be oxygenated, without the heart going through the act of pumping, the blood pressure is going to be very slow. So by the time the oxygenated blood reaches each of the individual organs, it's going to be too late, and the inability to get oxygen and glucose timely means that there will be cellular death. Now for the case of D, from right atrium to right ventricle, blood is routed to the lungs for gaseous exchange, sent back to the heart first, exit via the left ventricle, and this goes out via the aorta to the head. You also have it going towards the rest of the body, and the blood that is being sent out is actually pressurized, so it's going to reach its destination very, very quickly. So D is the correct answer for this question.